crevacheux chicken. I liked the long neck, I liked the pink between the eyes, and the head crest just had to go in there. Had to. So I had a pretty solid idea of some of the basics I was going to do for this. I was going to elongate the neck with a really long V-neck, and I was going to do a masquerade mask to get the pink from the beak there. And then I had the feathers, the idea of the feather collar that just went up around the head. That was all pretty clear to me at the start. And I wanted this character to look grumpy in their physicality, if nothing else. Which is why I gave them crossed arms, which was a pain in the butt. That chicken from that reference chicken looks so mad. I love it. I gave her a bubble skirt to start with because I wanted something at her hips to go wide, but I ended up with this more Morticia Adams-esque thing going on. It's not a hobble skirt because it's open at the front, but it looks very Morticia Adams to me, and I do like it a lot. Do you think Morticia would approve? So I picked the Sarama for that puffy chest, obviously, and I really should have gone with that tail feathers. Those are awesome, but I didn't think to for some reason. I was so focused on the chest. Did these bodies knowing which chicken I wanted them for, so that's why the Sarama's body is already kind of pushing the chest forward. I don't know what I was thinking with that particular outfit, but I was thinking something. I had less idea of how to get that chest in there than I had for the Crevacheurs neck and head crest and mask, so this took me significantly longer to do, even sped up. It's quite a bit longer. But I finally got where I wanted with that fan-like design on top, so it does stick up and out, but it's not quite as exaggerated as some others. And if I'd done the tail feathers like I see now, it would have been like an awesome train or something, or like a bustle. That could have been cool, but I didn't. I realize now I did not show myself inking any of these chickens. I wonder why. Huh. Originally, I went on a little screed here about environmentalism, and I depressed the hell out of myself. And I thought about it a bit, and I realized that my thing on gender could have been depressing to some people as well. As a trans person, I interact with gender norms every day. It's just a normal part of my life. It makes me frustrated and mad when I really think about it, but it doesn't depress me because it's something that I just live with, and if it depressed me, I'd be depressed all the time. I'd get nothing done in the day. I don't interact with environmentalism every day. It's not part of my job. It's not something I personally have to interact with every day. And so talking about it, acknowledging how awful it is, was something that made me sad and depressed in a way that gender norms doesn't. And I wonder if other people feel as sad about gender norms and stuff when it's brought to their attention as the environmentalism made me, because it made me so sad. It made me so sad. And I went on it because fashion is the second most, I'm not going into this screed here, I'm just going to explain why I did it. The second most environmentally damaging industry we have. And I looked into it for this because I could never figure out why it was that it was so environmentally damaging. I just knew that it was the second or third most environmentally damaging one, and I never did figure out why, and I thought if I'm doing fashion chickens, I might as well look into it. And looking into it was depressing. I learned a lot, but it was depressing. And I'm not going to stop liking fashion just because it's depressing. I'm just going to try and be more aware of how I consume it. I don't know if we have sustainable fashion near me or slow fashion stuff, but I will try, and I'm not going to make my own clothes. I don't have it in me. I know how to sew, but I don't have the emotional wherewithal to make my own clothes, but I will try and thrift more and maybe engage in slow fashion or get stuff from original sellers instead of from like Amazon or a Kohl's or something. Anyway, the Crevacheur chicken was mostly just kind of a glossy black with no real color sheen to it, but I wanted to add some colors both to zhuzh it up and also to make the details more clear. I thought it would be harder to see the details in there if it was all just black. I don't know how to control the black enough to make the distinction that would have helped the details shine through. So I went with blues and purples because there was a slight blue shine to the chicken. I think it might have been from the environment more than the chicken's own feathers, but hey, you do what you can with what you've got. I added the silver because it seemed right for a masquerade mask to be silver, and then I wanted to tie it in with some other places on the outfit, so I did it on like the hem of the skirt and in the shoes. And you can't really see it, but her bracelets are silver too. There's a lot of me pushing back and forth between the color and the black, because the black dries lighter than I want it to, but it doesn't mean it doesn't cover the color, so there was a bit of me fighting with that. That's pretty much the crevassier chicken done. Then I've got the Sarama. It's got the yellow around its head and the kind of red browns in its wings, and that's kind of what I'm going for in the coloring. That yellow is straight out of the pot, basically. It is brighter than the chickens, but I do like bright colors, and I do like the way this ends up turning out, so I'm not upset with that in any way, and if I had been, I would have changed it. Once I'm done getting the yellow on there, I'm going to go in and gradient in some reds, and again, these reds are brighter than the chicken had. There's no brown to them. This is actually an orange. I'll go in with a red later. But I'm gradienting with that. It's not a smooth gradient because it's not wet into wet, really, but it is a gradient I enjoyed doing. The browns are going to be more in the suit type parts of the clothing. So there's my gradients finished for now. I'm going into the clothes. There we go. See, there's a reddish brown. And it will change color, and that particular brown starts out streaky as hell. It gets better, I promise. This whole outfit ends up Gradient City, and I really enjoyed doing it, but I'm not sure how it came out looking. As far as there might have been too many gradients, or I didn't do the gradients well, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's me starting the lighter gradient at the bottom of the pants, and I think I do a dark gradient from the bottom up. Yep. In this one. The shoes don't stay that color. I ended up not liking it. And I put a little bit of, I can't remember if that's silver or gold there originally. That will get at least a little bit covered up. Here's me starting the gradient on the pants, different, well, on the top of the pants, different brown, less red, more straight. I think this is the same brown I used on the back of the vest. And I put it on the shoes so that that certain things match a bit better, that there's less random ass colors everywhere. There's me covering that gold a little bit and putting in a bit more darkness to the shoe and a little bit of lightness back into it. Then we're on to coloring the skin, and I end up not liking the skin on the crevassier chicken. I mixed my colors too much, and she ends up being very one-tone. Like, if I had done it right, my colors were too similar. My light, my dark, and my mid were too similar, and then when I mixed them, they just blended into each other entirely. Like, if I had not blended them, it would have been fine, but because I did blend them, it became a problem, and they just kind of meld. And she looks fine, I'm just not happy with it. I could see this problem happening as I was working on it, and I just kept working it, and ended up overworking it, which is kind of what caused the problem. I should have found different markers and tried again, or found different markers and done something a bit different. But I didn't. It wasn't until this point in coloring that I realized that the Sarama and the crevassier are both bald. That was not intentional, I just didn't do hair for them because I didn't think of hair that would go there. I don't know. It was possibly a lack of creativity on my point, or me focusing more on the clothes than I had on the original two. I don't know. The skin on this one was pretty easy, and I didn't have really any trouble with it. So, yeah. There they are, the crevassier and the Sarama, and I'm quite happy with them.